Yad anutyasina yukta
Yad
Yad
anudhyasina
yukta
karma granti nibandhanam
karma
granti
nibandhanam
chindanti ko vidastasya
Chindanti
kovidastasya
ko na kuryat katharatim.
Kona
kuryat katharatim.
Translation: with sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody would like to read the purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The contact of the spiritual spark with the material elements creates a knot which must be cut if you wants to be liberated from the actions and reactions of fruitive works. Liberation means freedom from cycle of reactionary work. This liberation automatically follows for one who constantly remembers the transcendental pastime of the personality of Godhead. This is because of all activities of Supreme Lord, His Leela, and are transcendental to the modes of material energy. There are all attractive spiritual activities, and therefore constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualize the conditioned soul and ultimately serve the knot of material bondage. Liberation from material bondage is therefore a byproduct of devotional service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotional service so that ultimately the devotional service alone predominates. The liberation is made possible. Even the reactionary work of the fruitive workers can lead one to liberation when it is overcoated with devotional service. Karma overcoated with devotional service is called Karma Yoga. Similarly, empirical knowledge overcoated with devotional service is called Jnana Yoga. But pure bhakti is the independent of such karma and Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Jnana, because it alone cannot only endow one with liberation from conditional life, also award one the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, one sensible man who is above the average man with poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about him, by glorifying him, by remembering him and worshipping him always without cessation. This is the perfect way of devotional service. The Goswami of the Vrindavan, who were authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the Bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures and transcendental science for our benefit. They have talked about ways of all classes of men in terms of different castes and orders of the life in pursuance of teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other authoritative scriptures. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Suresh Prabhu, anything you would like to share in this?
Yes, Prabhuji, you always talk about the attainment. So then it has been explained very well how it's attainment of spiritual knowledge is not only the sufficient for the liberation, and this is this is, I think, very much important. I am understanding. I'm trying to understand. Many times we talk in the Bhagavad Gita also, all the Bhakti Yoga ladder, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. Then Bhakti Yoga is the topmost in the devotional service. And here it also it is explained that it is not enough with the liberation for the conditional soul, conditional life. If you are not in the all the knowledge, I mean all the ladders of the Bhakti Yoga or all the other yoga, which is not enough. We must be the part of pure Bhakti Yoga to free from the all kind of material bondage. And here it's explained about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, who has given some authorized person, authoritative Goswamis, like the 6 Goswamis, who can write our scriptures, Vedas, and I mean they are only the uh, authorized person to have the knowledge from the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and explain the Bhakti Yoga across the world, and I mean irrespective of cost, creed, and any other things. So that's what Prabhuji. It has very deep meaning. You can explain better, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. No, I think you explained nicely. Okay. Any other devotees would like to explain or share or make any comment, questions?
Prabhuji, I like this line here, that liberation from material bondage. Okay. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with the devotional service to the ultimately the devotional service alone predominates. So I think here they are saying that on not only reading scriptures is important. Sometimes we think that if we read every day and we do not serve or we do not take association of devotees and we just read the scriptures all by ourselves and then we'll understand and we you know we'll get liberation, but that's not possible because they are here saying like karma bhakti and jnana, until they are practiced as a karma yoga, like connection to the God, until then you cannot get liberation. So everything you do that has to be with the connection of God, whether it is karma, it's bhakti or it's a jnana, until you put it you do the service like serve the deities or any way or serve the devotees, it is not possible for you to get liberation or serve your guru. So everything whatever we do for bhakti, for gyan, for karma, that has to be practiced as a yoga regularly, then only it can help you to get liberation. That's my understanding. Prabhuji, please add more.
Thank you, Mataji, for pointing this out. So here, Prabhupada was mentioning how liberation from material bondage is a byproduct of devotional service. There is a nice shloka here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada mentions, let me pull it up. How many of you know who is Billo Mangal Thakur?
Yes, Prabhuji, आपने story तो बताई थी एक बार.
All those who don't know who is Billo Mangal Thakur.
I don't know. I don't know, Prabhuji.
Okay, all those who know who is Billo Mangal Thakur, which book did he write? I think it's Krishna Karnamrit, right? Which he wrote. So the great saint who came many centuries back, and he was not really always a pure devotee, but there were some times when he was addicted to, you know, wrong habits. But how a situation came in his life which transformed him. It's a very nice story. Maybe we can share sometime later. But he writes beautiful shloka here. We'll read the translation of this from Krishna Karanamrit, his book. Can anybody read the translation? Okay, let's read the shloka as well, because it's a beautiful shloka. Can read this as well. Bhaktistvai shiratara bhagavan yadi syad.
Bhakti Swai
Sthirtara
Sthirata Bhagavanyati Syat
दैवेन न फलति दिव्य किशोर मूर्ते
Devena na Phalati Divya Kishora Murti
मुक्ति स्वयं मुकुलितांजलि सेवते स्मान्
Mukti Mukti Swayam Mukta Tanjali Sevate Sman
धर्मार्थ काम गतया समया प्रतीक्षा
Dharmatakāgataya samaya pratiksha.
So can anybody read this translation?
I can read Prabhuji if that okay.
Go ahead.
If nobody's. Oh my Lord, if one engages in your pure devotional service with determination, you become visible in your original transcendental, youthful form as the personality of Godhead. As far as liberation is concerned, the stands before the devotees with folded hands, waiting to render service. Religion, economic development, and sense gratification are all automatically attained without separate endeavor. Krishna Karanamrita, Manu said. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So people in this world, they are looking for dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? Most people are in the artha and kama only, economic development and sense gratification. Some may be there who may take religious means to develop economic development and sense gratification. They ultimately want economic development and sense gratification, but they take to religion to get this. So dharma, artha, kama. And then very few may be looking for moksha. But actually, one who is a pure devotee of the Lord, he does not want any of these four. He's only focused on pleasing the Lord. And because he's focused on pleasing the Lord, what happens? The moksha, the liberation, herself comes. Mukti, Mukulitanjali, means हाथ जोड़ के खड़ी रहती है. Mukti, Swayam Mukulitanjali. That the personification of liberation is standing outside and asking, can I come in? So this is the highest thing, mukti, moksha, liberation, which everybody in who is transcendentalist is looking for. But a devotee, he doesn't even care, because he's so much focused on giving pleasure to Krishna. And because he is focused on that, liberation herself comes and stands. Please, let me come in, let me come in. A devotee has no time for that. So what to say of religion and economic development and sense gratification? These are even lower than moksha, the liberation. So they automatically will come. So a devotee doesn't have to endeavor too much for these things. It's fixed on improving his devotional service. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we become careless in our material situation. Even Pandavas, they are pure devotees, but they had so many testing time. They had to fight a war to take back their kingdom. So we have to similarly serve Krishna in our constitutional position is to serve Krishna, but we have to do it in a varnashrama system, um, engaging in our occupational duties and doing, especially those who are householders, you know. So this is a nice shloka. So this is what Prabhupada is mentioning here, that liberation is just a byproduct. Like when you go to a factory, so you send raw materials and then a finished product comes. And along with that finished product, a lot of waste byproducts come, which are like waste. But let's see devotional service. Devotional service, the byproduct itself is like liberation. And the original product is actually Krishna Prema. So the byproduct is also something which people are dying for. And what to say of Krishna Prema, which is compared to nothing else. And then he is mentioned attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. So attainment of spiritual knowledge here, the point is Gyan. So when we are doing reading of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam and discussing, this is actually Shravanam and Kirtanam, because we are glorifying Krishna. We are not behind Jnana. So when we are reading, we are discussing, this is very much comes in Shravanam and Kirtanam, which is part of devotional service. But if somebody is too much into different other scriptures, which are trying to talk about so many different things and not really focused on attaining the love for God, then that will be Jnana. So Prabhupada is saying, even if somebody wants that knowledge or something, that must be overcoated with devotional service in the beginning, right? But ultimately, what should be there? Devotional service alone predominates. This is important. That right now we may have so many propensities, so we get overcoated with devotional service, but eventually, when we keep practicing, then that alone will stay. All the others will go away. Does it make sense?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for drawing our attention to this beautiful part of the purport. So Prabhupada's books, if you read, it has so many different layers of understandings. Every word could mean just a little bit, or it could have so much depth. Now, when I first started reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, it seemed that they are repetitive, right? And I'm sure many of you would have had that experience, that वही बातें हैं सारी, मतलब more or less, है कि नहीं? वही दो चार प्रिंसिपल ही हैं, उसी को बार बार बोला हुआ है. अभी sometimes you feel like that, anybody, that
Yes,
the same
Prabhuji,
thing.
yes, Prabhuji, sometime in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam initially, when I realized that he's trying to say the same thing.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like that. Anybody else felt like that?
Yes, Prabhuji, we discussed Bhagavad Gita with our family. So in second chapter from first shloka to 31, my mama always says, "तो बात एक ही है ना, we are the soul."
Exactly. We are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and we have to do devotional service, we have to go to Krishna, and we have to stay away from sense gratification. So it seems like people take it very cheaply, that okay, this is there, what a big deal. Just like a compounder who's working with a doctor, sometimes he thinks, oh, every patient comes with this problem, is going to get this medicine. So after a few months, he thinks or after a few weeks, he thinks he is now doctor. So he opens his own practice. But what happens is he kills people. So that's what happens. Limited knowledge can be very dangerous. So even if we understood theoretically we are not this body, we are spirit soul, how has it practically translated into our daily activities, dealings, and change in our consciousness level, lifestyle? This is what we have to see. Previously we were doing same, now we are doing same. So change has not happened. Of course, one gets spiritual benefit if one reads Bhagavad Gita or chants, but the benefit may not be complete. It may not be the full benefit which we can get. So actually, as we keep reading Srila Prabhupada's books and we understand, and when we discuss with some of the other devotees who are a little more experienced, we can see every paragraph, every line Prabhupada is mentioning has connections from other scriptures, from other books, how they are actually quotes. And then we are reminded of those, and then we can elaborate and discuss like that. Does it happen? Maybe you would see some of the classes, of devotees which you attend, or here when we have discussions, some of the devotees come with nice ideas. So then you can say, "Oh, there's so many things which are related to this shloka or this purport which we discussed." And initially, if I would have read again, I would have just brushed through without really understanding. Has that happened? Anybody notice that? So much insight is there to each, like right
Yes,
now.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sometimes like I read this line, but I had a different understanding. But when you explained is different. So in past also there were many shlokas when devotees and Natasha Mataji shared a different understanding. So yes, Prabhuji, I realized.
Yeah, so this is the importance of reading, hearing, discussing, and sharing. Okay. Anybody else would like to share anything from this paragraph, this shloka? I'll read the translation again. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? So it's a rhetorical question here. Who will not pay attention to his message? Means, kaun nahi karega? Everybody will do it, right? So that is the meaning here. So to cut karma, karmic reactions, so many karma which we have to suffer. What is the solution? What is the solution?
Solution is to hear the message of God attentively.
Yes, remembering the personality of Godhead. Yes, that could be by hearing the message also we can remember. Very good. Okay, we'll go to the next shloka. This is a very important shloka. This is everybody. Please try to read this even after the class again today or tomorrow. Shrushusho Shraddhadhanasya
Shraddhanasya
Vasudeva Katharuchi
Vasudeva Katharuchi
Syanmahatsevaya Vipra
Yanmahatsevaya Vipra
Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Punyatirtha Nishevana.
Nishevana.
Okay, who will read the translation? Any volunteers who have not read so far would like to read?
I can read.
Yes.
O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva.
Hare Krishna. So last shloka was telling if you want to cut the knots of reaction karma, then you have to remember the personality of Godhead, which can happen by hearing, by paying attention to his message, right? But how to develop the taste for hearing? Unless you don't have a taste, you will not hear, right? So how will you develop taste? This is the answer. What is the answer? Can somebody read it again? How to develop affinity, attraction towards the message, taste for the message. Some people will say, oh, I, don't have interest in reading or hearing or listening to lectures. So how to develop that? This is the answer.
By
Anybody wants to read?
serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice.
Yes. So we have to serve such personalities.
प्रभु जी इसमें वो शुद्ध भगत चरण रेणु जा सकता है भजन?
Yes. Okay. So we'll read the purport. Who wants to volunteer to read the purport? And Kichori, you want to continue?
Can I? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll. Purport. The conditioned life of a living being is caused by his revolting against the Lord. There are men called devas or godly living beings, and there are men called asuras or demons who are against the authority of the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, a vivid description of the asuras is given, in which it is said that the asuras are put into lower and lower states of ignorance, life after life, and so sink to the lower animal forms and have no information of the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. These asuras are gradually rectified to God consciousness by the mercy of the Lord's liberated servitors in different countries according to the supreme will. Such devotees of God are very confidential associates of the Lord, and when they come to save human society from the dangers of godlessness, they are known as the powerful incarnations of the Lord, as sons of the Lord, as servants of the Lord, or as associates of the Lord. But none of them falsely claim to be God themselves. This is a blasphemy declared by the asuras, and the demoniac followers of such asuras also accept pretenders as God or his incarnation. In the revealed scriptures, there is definite information of the incarnation of God. No one should be accepted as God or an incarnation of God unless he is confirmed by the revealed scriptures. Shall I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. The servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees who actually want to go back to Godhead. Such servants of God are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. The servants of God urge people to become devotees of the Lord. They never tolerate being called God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was God himself according to the indication of the revealed scriptures, but he played the part of a devotee. People who knew him to be God addressed him as God, but he used to block his ears with his hands and chant the name of Lord Vishnu. He strongly protested against being called God, although undoubtedly he was God himself. The Lord behaves so to warn us against unscrupulous men who take pleasure in being addressed as God. The servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita 18.69 that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna. Srila
Hare
Prabhupada Jai.
Krishna. Jai. Thank you for reading. So this particular translation How one gets affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Sometimes you will see people will be asking this question. They will ask you, मन ही नहीं करता सुनने का पढ़ने का भगवत गीता. We have no taste, no desire, no affinity, no interest. What to do? This is what you do. You identify devotees which are freed from vice and serve them. Such great personalities, Mahatmas. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will open. ढूंढने से तो भगवान भी मिलता है कहते हैं ना. This is how Krishna will reveal himself through the devotees. So we have to find such people. So Prabhupada in the purport basically is focusing on this, that how there are people who are free from vice and they come in this material world essentially for the purpose of sharing about God, the signs of God with others. And they don't want to be called as God. If somebody called them as God, they don't accept it. They don't like it. They are not very fond of it. And there are another category, which are the asuras. They like to be called as gods. So many times they'll pose themselves as God, and people will call them God, and they'll be very happy. Even we see demoniac mentality. Hiranyakashyap wanted everyone not to worship Vishnu and worship him. But devotees are not like that. So this is, one has to make a discrimination. Some people may be saying, oh, ye Bhagwan hai, aap to sakshat Bhagwan hai. That is not acceptable, because one has to go by scriptures. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Scriptures, Acharyas, and Guru. These are the three limbs by which we have to understand who is who, what is what. So the great personalities, they may be called as Mahatmas or Tirthas, because they, Tirtha is like a holy place. So these personalities, they are like holy places personified. Wherever they go, they transform the place by spreading and talking about God. Because they talk about God, so the other person hears about God, and slowly, slowly, they get transformed. So when such a Mahatma or such a Tirtha, we are serving them, means we assist them with whatever they are doing. They don't need us. Their service will continue anyways. We need them. We need to serve them. If somebody is making a donation and thinking, oh, because of me, they could do, it is actually illusion. They don't need us. They don't need our service. Krishna can arrange so many other people to give donation. They don't need us to help out in a particular thing if we are going to the temple and doing. They actually have, Krishna has his arrangement. He can get it done through so many people. We should be feeling that we have the honor and the privilege to give donation for the service of Krishna. This is priceless. To the extent we feel like that, to that extent we are making spiritual progress. To the extent we are actually assisting our body, minds, and words in the service of Krishna, to that level we are progressing. If those changes are not happening, then it should be an indication that something I am doing is not right. I'm not doing the process correctly, or I'm not in the correct process. So these things one has to be introspective about and take guidance from those who are more experienced, and then try to imply in our life. And as one serves such great personalities, one will see that the taste and the affinity for hearing and chanting is coming. That way you can make sure that you are advancing, you're progressing, you're going, the process is working for you. So this is in brief the summary of this purport. Anybody would like to share any quick points? Any questions, comments, any points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I say something?
Yes, Mata.
I think Prabhuji, hearing kirtan and listening to all those Vaishnav songs also helped to develop the taste of this. So that's what I felt. So that's why I wanted to share.
Yes,
Thank you,
Mataji. All
Prabhuji.
things are
Bhajan Kriya,
interrelated.
Bhajan Kriya really helped to develop this taste. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Mataji. So very nice point. So we just talked about how service to the great saints will help in developing the taste. Now, when you develop the taste, that is when you can hear the Vaishnav song. That is when you can hear the literature. That is when you can come to the conference call. So somewhere, sometime you started serving some devotees, and that you please the devotee. So Krishna is now pleased with you and giving you a little taste. Now, the more you take advantage of it, the more you hear Vaishnav songs, the more you read Bhagavatam, the more you continue to serve the devotees, the more you stay away from offenses. Very, very prayerful that Krishna, I should not be offensive or envious of devotees. The more you will see, the progress will continue. So it is like a circle. You start with one thing and that helps in the other thing and the other thing, and slowly you'll see all aspects of devotional service will keep advancing. Does it make sense, Neelu Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to make any comment, question, or point? All right, so I think we've crossed our time for today. So we'll conclude for now. Is that okay?
Okay, okay, Prabhuji.
All right. Thank you, everybody. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।